So why not start at the top? Wolverine. Both of the Wolverine movies. I'm on about both of them. Okay. I must say this just to start off with. This is going to be my first video. And I like Wolverine Origins. I know everyone hates it, and I can completely see why everyone hates it, right? That's fine. That's fine. That's fair enough. I get that. I think it's better than the Wolverine. All right. Now hear me out. Hear me out. Okay. The Wolverine is one of those movies that it's a superhero movie where the main character loses his powers, which makes it a non-superhero movie. And I don't really want to see, well, not even Wolverine. I don't want to see Hugh Jackman running around bloody Japan without powers. I mean, isn't that just Australia in a different country? I mean, I don't know. I didn't watch that shit, but it has the same problem as like Spider-Man 2. Things like in Heroes, when season 2 sucked because everyone lost their bloody powers. It was terrible. I'm not the biggest Deadpool fan, but yeah, I can see what they did to Deadpool. It was terrible. It was the worst thing ever. Why does it look like Baraka? If you ignore Baraka Deadpool and you ignore CGI Patrick Stewart, which looked really weird, then it wasn't a terrible movie. I think the biggest problem that movie had was it was trying to tie itself into the other movies, which it honestly did not make sense. Ignoring that, I think there's a few things people have really overlooked. I think the main thing I actually thought was good about that movie was the fact that they showed Wolverine's origin. Now, in the comics, there's a lot of people who say as soon as they showed Wolverine's origin, it made him a bit worse because there's no mystery in his character anymore. And I understand that, that's cool, but I am so sick of every X-Men movie being about Wolverine and his bloody origin. It's like the first one is all Wolverine doesn't know who he is and all that shit, and it's basically a Wolverine movie. And I was like, okay, that's alright. I mean, I didn't really care about the first one. I didn't even watch the first one when it first came out. I watched the second one, and then the second one came out. It's all about Wolverine and his past and he's going back to Weapon X, and I thought they'd end it there, but no, they just kind of keep hinting at it. And then Wolverine Origins came out, and I'm glad they've made that movie to make him stop talking about his origin, because now it's done. There's no more Wolverine. I don't have my memories or any of that shit. I'm done with that. So that's one good thing about the movie. Another good thing, people a lot of the time overlook this, and I'll get onto Spider-Man 3 as well, because that is another movie that I prefer over 2 and 1 in some ways. The soundtrack. I think the soundtrack to the Wolverine was better than the soundtrack for X-Men 1, 2, possibly 3 as well, which also had a pretty good soundtrack for a terrible movie. Because that's another problem Spider-Man 3 had as well. The soundtrack was good. Now I know that in a movie, the soundtrack does not make the movie good. I think it adds to the atmosphere, but you can't just have a decent movie from just having a good soundtrack. It does add to it. On a whole, X-Men Origins is so much more memorable to me than the Wolverine. Because the Wolverine was so boring. It was just him going to... There's no decent bad guy. Fair enough, Deadpool in that movie was not a decent bad guy, but they had Deadpool, they had Sabretooth, they had Gambit. It's kind of a bad guy-ish kind of thing. I don't know. And it was more exciting. There was more characters people actually wanted to see. I mean, I remember Viper from that, and the giant robot Transformer Silver Samurai thing. As far back as I remember, Silver Samurai was not that big. X-Men 3, another movie that I didn't mind, but a lot of people hated. I kind of see where the hate comes with this, what everyone dying. It's fair enough, but then they're back to life anyway, most of them. Jean Grey has that thing where, you know, even though she's dead, she keeps turning over all the time in, like, the Wolverine, which was another reason I didn't like that movie. Okay, so Professor X dies. Phoenix kind of blew Patrick Stewart up. And then he's kind of back to life. Now, if you watch the ending credits, alright, this is the explanation they give. So he has a twin brother, who you see in the credits, kind of. you see the back of his head. He could be any bald guy, but whatever. He seems to look exactly the same as Patrick Stewart, and has the same voice. And he's like, "Hello, Moira," or whatever he says. His Patrick Stewart voice. That's how he comes back to life. He puts his consciousness, which he does reference in the movie, into his twin brother, who is basically like comatose. He has no kind of anything in him. He's basically like a shell of a man or some shit. I don't know. So that's how he's supposed to come back. But that's a pretty far stretch. I mean, no one realistically was paying enough attention to X-Men 3 to know that. Put it in the Wolverine. I don't know, just stick it in somewhere. I mean, the only reason I even watched that movie is because everyone was like, "Oh, just stay to the ending." It's the only comic book movie that I've ever seen that I did not want to stay and watch the entire movie. I was so bored in that movie. I didn't care about anything. None of the characters, nothing. Another problem in Days of Future Past: how does Wolverine have metal claws if the Wolverine, the second Wolverine movie, he's supposed to get rid of them? How does he get them back? He just randomly has metal claws again in Days of Future Past movie. And also, now on the subject of Wolverine's claws, if on the Weapon X procedure, it's meant to put metal around your body, and fair enough, he has claws already. When his claws just, like, it doesn't mold his claws into sharp claw shapes, there's no way of doing that. So when they just look like kind of metal sticks, like all crinkly and shit, because they're not. I mean, to be fair, they were CGI in that movie anyway, so who gives a shit? But still. But yeah, Wolverine's claws. Anyway, I just thought it's not as bad as people make out. A big problem with Apocalypse, the fact that you see the future where everyone's fine. Xavier, you know, he's in his wheelchair. He's not blown up. Cyclops is there, and Jean Grey is there, and Beast's back to being that other guy who plays him. I forgot his fucking name. It kind of makes it seem like Apocalypse is a bit pointless, because you know he's not going to destroy the planet because they all turn up fine in the future. Is Wolverine going to remember the fact that he's faced Apocalypse if he's in that movie? Or that Apocalypse has kind of happened? Because even if he hasn't faced him, he probably see all the things blowing up or whatever. I don't know. Don't really make sense. Anything with time travel just doesn't make sense. The best way they've explained it is in things like Dragon Ball Z and stuff. They've said like every time you go back in time, it creates a parallel universe, and that's the best way of explaining it. Fuck Doctor Who. Fuck everything else. There's my opinion anyway. If you disagree with my Wolverining, feel free to, I don't know, comment, like, I don't give a fuck. Do, don't, I don't know. If you want to send me hate mail, feel free to. I will wipe my ass on it. Whatever. Peace.